friends and fellow movers, Lisa Flores here. Jim Pankey and I just finished another round of Get Moving on his channel. You can visit him at youtube.com/wildjimbo. Throughout this series of Get Moving with Jim Pankey, there's been a lot of questions about elbows for musicians. And normally we've been talking about the environment around it, which are the wrist and the shoulder joints. This week, I'm going to be showing you some things you can do specifically for the elbow, as well as how to move and get comfortable sitting. So before we get into that, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you've got anything you're curious about, let me know. Let's get moving. To teach you about the elbow, I'd like to show you more about the forearm and the bones that make it up. So I want to introduce you to my assistant, Slim Skelly. There are three long bones of the arm: the humerus, which is this upper arm bone, and the two bones of the forearm. The one on the thumb side is called the radius, and the one on the pinky side is called the ulna. So when your palm is facing up, those two bones are parallel to each other. And then when your palm turns over, that thumb side bone crosses over. In the first video of this series, we practiced a forearm motion called Pronation and Supination, where you stabilize the elbow and turn your palm face down and then face up again. This week, we're going to do an assisted version. You're still going to actively turn your palm over and back up again, but then you're going to use the other hand to assist. Earlier in this Get Moving series, we did a version of this forearm motion without any assistance at all. You had your arm by your side, your elbow was bent, your palm was facing up, and you would turn your palm face down and back up again, like so. This week, to do the assisted version, you're going to start out the same way. The left arm right now, the exercising arm, is going to actively turn palm down, and at the very end, your right hand is going to hold on to the outside of the wrist and help with that last bit of motion. And then you'll release and do it again. I'll show you the same exercise from the side. Arms by your side, elbows bent, palm starts face up. Actively turn your palm over and then gently assist with your other hand to finish the turn. To do the assisted supination, I'm going to show you a handhold that will help at the end range. If you're exercising your left hand, the right hand is going to support it from the back side. Your first finger will go in the web and the other fingers will wrap around the wrist. With your arm by your side, elbow bent, palm up, and your hand ready to help, actively turn your forearm and help with your other hand at the end. In the last few videos, we've learned some different skill sets. One was shoulder rotation, moving the arm internally and externally at the shoulder joint. Another one was head ramping, where your head goes back and up. And then another one was a neck stretch, where you relax your ear down towards your shoulder. This week, we're going to put all those together with another one that we just learned, which is the supination of the forearm. So with your elbow bent and your palm facing up, you're going to externally rotate at the shoulder, which brings your elbow forward, and you're also going to supinate the forearm, so your thumb starts to fall behind you. Then you're going to ramp your head and side bend your neck and reach your elbow away from you to get a nice continuous stretch through the arm, shoulder, and neck. The wrist has two major motions, wrist flexion and wrist extension. Previously, we talked about wrist extension using a chair. So let me show that to you again. You're going to spread out your fingers, especially the thumbs at the base of the thumb joint, and then place your hands flat on a chair or a table. And then bring your shoulders up over top. Now this position, my arm is vertical, my hand is horizontal. So that's a 90-degree bend of the wrist. If that's too much for your shoulders, you're just gonna walk it back so that your shoulders are behind the wrists. To help with wrist flexion, have your arm by your side, bend your elbow so that your forearm comes up, and then actively flex your wrist. Your other hand can help by holding on to the palm and giving a little assistance at the end range. Bend your elbow so that your forearm comes up, and then flex the wrist, and then one finger at a time, use your other hand to help bring the fingertip towards the forearm. The other big request this week was for more thumb exercises. I hope you like this one. You're gonna make a fist, but this time, this thumb is gonna tuck under the other four fingers. So your knuckles are gonna stay vertical, and then you're gonna reach so that you get a stretch over the top of the thumb. Might be easier to see from the side. If you've been sitting a long time, it can feel really good to stretch your legs out. So here's a calf stretch you can try at home. You might have a half cylinder that you can use. It's a high density foam, but if not, no worries. You can also use a rolled up towel. Place the ball of your foot on top of the foam, allowing your heel to stay on the ground, and then take a step forward. As the back of your calf relaxes, you can take another step forward. If your ankle and lower leg are feeling stiff, you can take some practice steps, stepping forward and then back again to ease off the tension. Keep both knees fully extended as you do the calf stretch. Here's another look at the calf stretch from the front using a rolled up towel or a blanket instead of the foam. Did you know that sitting is a version of a squat? A full resting squat would require a lot of hip flexion, and sitting is probably a little bit less, but it's still hip flexion, which is your femur moving closer to the front of your pelvis. When you sit, you might be sitting on your pelvis, or you might be tipped back and resting a little bit on your sacrum or tailbone. So the back of the pelvis here, you can see a little bit more of this rounded sit bone versus the end of the spine. If you have a half foam, place the curved side down on a seat and then sit on the flat side so that you can rock and roll. You can also use a rolled up towel or thin blanket to sit on to do this rock and roll. You'll sit on it in a way that allows the front of your pelvis to tip forward and relax into hip flexion, and then you'll rock back and do it again. As your hip mobility improves, you can do this without any bolsters at all, and just rock your pelvis into full hip flexion and then relax out of it back and forth to help loosen the hips. Another way to use your chair is to practice one-legged squats. You're going to prop one foot onto the seat of the chair, relax your pelvis forward, and hang out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you found some new moves to help you feel comfortable when you sit, and also for your forearms when you play. Take care. See you next time.
Ta-da!